How many N's are here?
2.
So we put a 2 there to make 2 N's. How many H's do we make?
2.
We make 2, right? There's 2 here. Now the O's are usually what cause the problem. There's how many O's here?
3.
And there's how many O's here? 1 plus 3 is 4. And there's how many here? 4. So it's balanced. Number 4. There's how many O's?
1.
There's 4 here, and there's how many here? So we need to put a 4 there to make 4 O's. We made how many H's?
8.
So how do I make 8?
4.
And how many FE's are here?
3.
So I'm going to put a 3. Okay, now we've got some polyatomic ions next. There's how many NO3s?
2.
How many NO3s here?
3.
So I, again, can't get 2, I can't get 3, so I'm going to 6. So 3 here will make 6. 2 here will make 6. That makes 3 leads, 2 leads. So if I've got 3, I'm going to put 3 in front of that lead, 2 in front of that aluminum. Now, 6 only has 1 set of parentheses. So I'm going to draw in parentheses. Now, this 3 is inside the parentheses, right? So I've got to keep that 3 inside the parentheses when I draw them in. So that means there's a 1 on the outside. So if there's 2 on this side, there's only 1 on that side. So I'm going to put a 2 in front of it. I made 2 silvers. So 2 silvers, 1 copper, 1 copper. Now, in number 7, I have parentheses of OH. Do I have an OH over here?
No.
So this is one I can't use the same rule where I can balance the polyatomic ions. We have to break this one apart. So first thing I'm going to do is take care of my calciums and my chlorines. Calcium is good. My chlorine I have
2.
and I only have
1.
so I'm going to go ahead and put a 2 there and take care of it. Now, it doesn't really matter if I do oxygen or hydrogen. Pick one. Okay? How many hydrogens are here?
2.
There's 2. And how many are here?
2.
So 2 plus 2 is how many?
4.
So how do I get 4 over here?
2.
How many O's did y'all make?
2.
And how many O's are here?
2.
So it's balanced.
So wait, is this one parentheses?
Well, the problem is there's no OH over here on this side for me to match it up with. If there was an OH over there on that side, I could draw the parentheses in, but there's no OH for me to draw on that other side to match it up with, which is why I had to break it apart. Okay, like in this one, I have an OH, like right here, that I could draw parentheses around, but do I have anybody over here to match it up with? No. But here, I have a PO4, and I have a PO4, so there I could draw parentheses around them because they match, but I don't have an OH to match it with. All right, so when we do 8, my PO4s both have 1s on the outside, so we know they're good. What about my K3s? So I need to put what here on my 3? All right. So now I'm just left with these pesky OHs and these OHs and this H. All right, because these we already took care of because they're in parentheses. So we don't have to worry about those O's. And K's good. So how many O's are here?
3.
So how many O's are here?
1.
1. So I'm going to put a what here?
3.
Okay. So how many H's did I make?
6.
I got to have 6 on this side.
Yeah.
So how many are here?
3.
And how many are here?
3.
So 3 plus 3 is,
6.
so it's balanced. Okay. And then the last one at the bottom. How many sodiums?
2.
So what am I going to put here?
2.
Okay. How many chlorines?
1.
There's only 1. How many chlorines are here?
2.
So what am I going to put here? How many H's did y'all make?
2.
How many H's? So that's good. How many sulfurs?
1.
How many sulfurs? That one's good. I guess we just have O left. How many O's?
3.
All right, how many O's here and here? So it's done. Questions?
Okay.
We need more practice?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll hold the quiz to either tomorrow, if I think we have time, which probably won't, it'll probably be Monday.
I like this.
I feel great.
So much better.
We're gonna do sort of geometry with balance. I told you, the molds are gonna change. The molds are gonna change when we learn to balance. No, I hate no. I will only drink iced coffee if there's enough chocolate and other stuff in it to mask the taste of the coffee.
Yeah. That's how I am.
You gotta add a lot of whipped cream and chocolate to make me drink it.
Yeah.
So you're a
I remember my grandma.
So you're a Starbucks type of person.
Um,
Takes one
yeah.
down.
They have to use a lot of other stuff to make me drink Starbucks.
You would be a chocolate mom and dad.
Maybe. Alright, if you look at 1 through 13, see how many of those you can balance before I stop you. But I will tell you that number 4 and 5 are probably the two that will cause the most issue. So if you are already struggling, don't do 4 and 5 to start with. Skip 4 and 5, come back to them, okay? Don't spend half an hour on 4 and 5 and beat yourself up, okay?
You said which one were you?
4 and 5. Do the rest of them and then go back to 4 and 5. If you're having no issues and you're feeling pretty confident in your skills, then do 4 and 5 right out of the gate as you're cruising through. Okay? But those are 2 of the harder ones on the page.
As well.
Mhm.
Did you have like a fraction coefficient?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some people will teach it that way. You will never see a fraction in here
All right.
because we will multiply through by a whole number and get rid of the fraction, just like we did for the empirical formula.
Is this right? I love to think I got it right. I'll be so proud of myself if I got it right.
I'm sure you got it right. Which one am I looking at? I can't even tell what the numbers are.
Thank you.
No.
Then it's not a 2.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's a 3,
Oh,
I think.
You got 10, you got 10 of those. You got 30 of those.
Oh. Oh, that's a 15. You know what? I think I should
Wait,
just.
you get 15. Wait, where are you?
She did 4 because she wants the challenge.
Oh.
It's a 15 as well. You don't have to check it. I'll just keep it.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, I'm thinking
Mr. Wong,
Mm-hmm.
what is L?
What is what?
It's oh, it's an I.
yeah, I thought it was L too.
What?
It is a
Yeah.
15.
I suck. I got it.
Oh, FYI, in case you didn't know this. This class is giving out progress reports on 4th period today.
Oh, my grade look like this.
Right?
Blue. I do today.
Hey, wait.
My grade dropped 13 points from there.
My grade dropped. We need something. I think it was.
This all was so crazy.
So what?
My 30 period is mastery and psychologic, and I just dropped his money.
And you know, he didn't teach me anything at all, and he gave us a quiz.
The only grade we had in the test book was a quiz that I had no clue what to do. And I didn't even get any questions right. He just gave me a 50, so I could at least get something. And so now, like, every grade this new teacher puts in isn't pulling my grade up because the first, and I'm like, why would you keep that grade in there whenever we started completely fresh?
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, well, this new teacher.
That,
He makes me.
that K-3PO, it's C-3PO.
He thinks students can teach us. That's how you get up there doing.
He doesn't know how to teach us, that's why he would teach us.
Students don't know what they do.
All right, balance.
Whenever you say the names of compounds, do you feel like you're saying the names of Star Wars characters? Like, I mean, come on, like K2SO4,
K-3PO4.
C3PO.
I really thought about it, but I didn't understand why you'd say that. All
Dana
right, where
and
do
I
you
have
start?
been laughing about it all semester.
Says bounty equation.
All right, so pick an element. Pick an element that's got a subscript.
I'm an
F, so how many F's you got?
I mean, her.
How can you say there's a two? There's not even two written on it.
What you mean two? Okay, two.
So how many F's are here? So give me three. How do you get three? Okay, all right, right there. So how many CS's did you just make? CS. You just put a what in front of it? You wrote a 3 in front of that CS. Don't erase it. 3 in front of it.
I did it.
You just made how many CS's?
Oh.
You made 3. So you have 3 CS's. How many CS's are here?
Oh, yeah.
There's how many? You have a 3 in front of that or on it? No, there's 1 CS. You need to make 3 CS's. Okay? So how do you make 3 CS's over there? If there's only 1. You what? Times it by 3. So you write a 3 on that one also. Now, when you wrote that 3, you made 3 CS's. But this distributes just like math class. You made 3 CS's and you made 3 CL's. Okay? How many CL's do you have here? That one already has 3, so you don't have to write anything on it because it already has 3. How many aluminums are here? How many aluminums are here? So those 2 are already balanced. You don't have to do anything else. It's done. Yes, you can write ones in front of those last 2 if it makes you happy, or you can leave them like it is. All right, what are you trying to show me? Yeah, I would try that. What do you do if you got a 2 and a 3? What number do 2 and 3 have in common? So get 6 of them. How do you get 6 of them? Huh? No, it has to go in front. So if you have 2 and you have 3, the only way you can make 6 is to put 3 out front. Not right 6. Okay, so you get 6 eyes. How do you get 6 eyes on the other side? So you've got 3 eyes, we need 6. What are you gonna write right in front of there to make 6? Okay, so write a 2 there. Now, when you did that, how many FEs did you make right there? So how do you make 3 FEs? Yeah. So how do you make 6 Fs? Yes. And you keep doing that all the way down the page. Don't skip 4 and 5. Skip 4 and 5 from your right. It's the other one that causes issues. It's not hard, it just causes problems. Yes.
You give us like a really hard one, you can.
No, please no.
There are no really hard ones on any of these.
He's in class. We got the empirical formula.
How many of the bonus was?
It was worth 5.
Well, we get them.
Yeah, we got them like, wait.
I think Nada, who didn't do it besides Nada? Anybody?
I got
One
I
and
sent
one.
Nada out to tell you how the points were broken down.
Okay, I'm going.
what happened? Can I have coffee out? Waiting for Steve.
So you have to come Alright, on the bonus points, and everybody in third period did it, or fourth period did it. If you wrote FE to S3O12 for the empirical and the molecular formula, you got +1. If you told me iron 3 sulfate, which a lot of people did, you got +2 more. All right. And then the final 2 points came from telling me FeSO4 with a 3, which is the piece that a lot of people did not have. Okay. You had to figure out that the formula had a polyatomic ion in it and pull the SO4 with a polyatomic ion with a +3 oxidation number out of it. If you got that piece, you got the +3, or the +2 that a lot of people missed. Okay, but that's how the points are broken
I
down.
was trying to show you how it was. I
Okay.
wrote it down, I wrote it down on
Huh?
accident.
He did. Remember I wrote it down the index card?
So you
We
got
did it too.
And I
Yeah.
just stapled it to the sheet after the index card away.
Cause you know, I was trying to show you how to do it, and I just wrote it down on my paper. Wow, that can't be clutch.
This is already balanced, number 11.
Good.
Then you just don't put any coefficients in it, or you can write balance beside
I'll
it.
give you mine 2 points.
Okay, but that's where the points came from.
Exchange for your 3.
All right, somebody let Nada back in so that she can continue to balance.
I think you did.
I'm keep curious to be here.
Your Jordan got a lot.
Your door don't unlock.
Yes, on the top one, you have one mistake on number 2. You should have a 3 in front of the FE. Because you have 3 irons right here, so you should have 3 in front of irons instead of 2.
These right here, like word searches. Like I could just sit at home with this.
Word searches.
You know, as soon as I do this, I can't look over my work. Like, you know, like, cause then I'll just confuse myself. Like, as soon as I
Don't look over it.
Like, I literally confuse myself. I'm like, wait, no, that's not right. But then,
Well, I need help with number 9, 13.
Would you try to balance first, number 9?
I tried to balance one of each all the time. I tried to.
what's up with you dropping your pencil?
Okay, and then see how many you got on the left,
3,
and on the right. So put 7 on the left to make 21, and 3 on the right to make 21. How many AUs did you just make?
Like
You did
14.
14, so make 14 on the right. All right, how many MnO4s did you make?
Forty-two.
Guys, make 42 on the other side. How many MNs did you just make?
Wait, I need 7.
Nope. How many, we go back, you made, where were we?
we just did this. You made 42, you made 04.
Dude,
So I said,
I just put it in the number because I got tired of doing number 11. You were right.
you had 42, so you needed 6, so how are you gonna get 6?
But then I realized what number I put down and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Mhm.
And then 13.
Same concept, so,
So we won,
okay,
so. The 15 is equal to K.
right down to K. Yeah. Mhm.
I think mine isn't reduced.
You can't do the OH because you don't have an OH on the side, so we gotta break up our encounter H's separately. So,
Oh,
how
no,
many
no.
H's do you have here?
It's not,
Two,
How
okay,
many
so I
here?
am.
2, 4.
So how do you get 4?
Oh, remember this is.
Then that's 5.
Yep.
I could do mine.
I look over it too.
All right, about another minute, and then we're gonna go over what you've got. You probably don't, some of you won't have them all done, and that's okay. We'll just check for what you do have done.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind that. Yeah.
It's okay.
It is right.
You're gonna need to pick a number that's greater than what you're using. So you're gonna have to pick a number that 5, 2, and 3 have in common. None of the numbers are greater. 30 case. Do you think? We're balanced, we're good.
Go ahead, man.
If you want to, or you can make 6. You
Whichever.
wanna just come back?
I was just gonna come back, drop this off,
That's fine, Secretary, be great.
and
I just didn't know if you had to go to South Lexington, so I didn't want to inconvenience you if you had to.
I'm gonna try not to go, but
Okay.
I couldn't get it to duplicate again. I cleaned up a few more things. I tried the truck. So if you can get it to duplicate, let me know
Okay,
the error
okay,
or, writing.
okay.
I'm also requesting a floor strip too.
Sounds fabulous. Yeah, but if I trip over it and fall and break something, can I go work in this company?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you should get a floor strip.
What's that? I want to go trip over it.
You're not getting workers' comp, I am.
No, I'm at school.
What?
Okay, so you got 30 Ks. So you got 30 Ks. All right,
Hey, we should get it.
okay, 6. So you got 6 MNs here, right? So that's what you wrote, but you only got how many MNs left? So you got 6 like the other side.
But if I make this 6.
Okay.
that goes to- What are you doing?
How much this is?
Work beside you now.
Yes.
Oh, well.
No, I just wanted to take out the trash. I
30
cleaned,
P of course.
I did the soda machine.
You got,
Sweep everything off everything, one back,
how long have you worked there now?
about 2 months.
Okay.
And I'm already less.
Dedication.
Yeah,
Who's the original?
I tried.
Once I get my license, I want to find a job.
I'm with
Got you.
I think I'm gonna actually work at the garage.
Oh,
It's too easy, man.
Yeah,
It's so
it is.
fucking hard, but I was basically standing on the
Right,
The lifeguard there?
I feel like this. Oh, you're gonna sit there all night?
right.
No one comes in there, but you get to sit in the.
Oh, no, you just drop
They have a little room where you can just sit there.
Oh, yeah, I had 3 on
Someone
it.
work, and every once in a
Yes,
while.
you got 2 there, like you had, yes, you have your 6.
I would love to get out.
All right, what's your question?
Absolutely. That was the place. Some Kool-Aid packets.
Yeah.
What do you balance the cost?
Kool-Aid packets.
Oh, yes. My brother loves Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we not drinking Kool-Aid. We don't make Kool-Aid.
That's the only thing we make, because we don't drink soda, it's water and Kool-Aid.
Yeah. We drink, the only soda we drink is Canada Dry.
Which balance the first?
So really, which
The only soda I like is ginger ale.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's all we drink
This
about.
is too easy.
Well, mom doesn't let us drink soda, so we like.
I love Cheryl.
It is.
I live North Carolina.
I
I don't like
Yeah.
it. I've tried it before, I don't like it. It's not like that pain, like medicine taste.
I don't know.
Say if I don't like it, I don't like it.
I used to think it was like, it used to be like sometimes.
Or lemonade. That's all I ordered. And, maybe for water. I hate that.
Yeah, I'm not like that. They brought it in. Yeah,
It's gross, I don't like it.
Yeah.
The taste is so good. It is not.
It's just like,
It's not
it's like,
good.
it's like milk and cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
It's sweet.
It's sweet. It's cinnamon, right? With sugar.
Yeah,
Cinnamon. It tastes like cinnamon.
I bet if I taste it now, it's probably would taste better.
Yeah, it probably,
Alright.
your taste will probably have the ball.
See if I can find the answers.
Hey, man, I think we should take the quiz.
No.
No, not today.
Either way, I love balance. My favorite. Don't.
The only question is this one or two?
That's give pop down, it's on there, and yeah, there's, I watched one of his in the bathroom, and I was thinking, it's about my house, and I thought I had it in my book bag, but I didn't. Now, like, the new
It said the high
Oh,
school.
yeah.
I mean, I work in the back.
I'll go.
Yeah, 42, like,
I can practice them during lunch.
No, it is. They do. I swear, they do the worst things ever.
Alright. Here are the answers. Check. See how you did.
They ain't got no.
Oh man, you didn't change the color.
Oh.
No, I didn't. These are out of Word documents. They're just cut and pasted.
It's 1
This
to
is the
7.
lazy
right?
man's way. Huh?
1 to 7, right?
This is whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 1 through 7.
It was a 15. I did get it right, it's just, I thought it was a 5 and not a 15, because I can't read on writing.
That is so sad.
Can I take the quiz?
I'm not gonna lie.
It's
It's like
just,
math.
you get, like, I don't know, I like drawing the lines before the thing, and then you don't give enough space, so like, the number got squished.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, I started writing the numbers on top.
Okay, man.
You challenge us like this is easy.
See, we thought the naming was gonna trip us up in yellow for a while. We thought the
We thought we had gotten the name wrong.
That's crazy. I even need to put it out.
Alright, we checked them.
You need to put that on something.
Alright. There are the remaining answers.
Wow.
Now, in the one that's MgO plus CO2 goes to MgCO3, I don't typically write balance beside it. I typically just don't put any coefficients in it. If you feel the urge to write balanced, shh. If you need to write balanced beside the question because you think I'm slow-witted and won't understand, no coefficients means balanced.
I'm so smart.
Daniela. Stop. If you need to write balanced beside it because you're afraid I'm slow-witted and won't know that you know it's balanced, you can. But if you don't put any coefficients in like I did, I will assume that that's balanced. Okay?
That's why I did that problem. I was like 2, 2, and 2.
Wait, for the last one?
Now, let me say this. If,
I put the.
all right, if you put 2, 2, and 2, what am I going to do?
Take off points.
Reduce.
I'm going to take half because you didn't reduce. So if it's a 10-point question, I'm taking 5 for not reducing. Okay? So either leave it like that, or if you think I'm slow, you can write balanced out to the side if it makes you feel better. But you could just leave it like I have it because I'm going to know that if you put no coefficients, you know it's balanced.
I put 1 to the side of 1.
If you
technically it's right, but it's not.
if you put 2, 2, and 2, it's correct, but it's not lowest term, so you're going to lose half your points.
I did that for the last one.
Okay? Same thing here. If you have something like,
I put 2, 4, 2.
if you have 2, 4, 4, and 2 like this, Again, there's nothing wrong with your balancing, but you're going to lose points because it's not in lowest terms.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll lose points. That's the only thing you get partial credit for in balancing. It's balanced correctly, but it has to be in lowest terms.
I looked at that problem too. I was like, should I reduce? I'm like, nah, I don't keep going.
Okay? Questions?
Oh, I forgot you had these. Oh.
Okay? Questions?
I couldn't do the last one. I could do
All right. Let's talk word equations.
Yay.
Come on, Dave, you get that.
I just love how everything just gets harder and harder, and I'm just getting.
The hang of it.
It seems like
You're not getting dumber.
You get smarter as your brain.
Now, this is where those of you who cannot write a formula are going to fall off the cliff rapidly. Okay?
so.
Like, really rapidly.
All my holes are.
I can just imagine myself jumping off the cliff. Or I can fall off and I
That is
just
not
jump off.
okay.
I just want to feel how the impact.
Now, you need your oxidation sheet for the rest of class. So, pull that out. Word equations are exactly what they say, okay? We're going to take words, okay? Translate it into symbols. Now, there are two things you will be given. If you have a compound, this is what we just spent a week with. What did we do every time we had a compound?
See, it was fine. Look to see if it's ionic or covalent.
Yes.
Oh, look it up on the periodic table.
We looked up the symbols, we looked up the oxidation numbers, and we crisscrossed.
Oh, yeah.
Very rarely will I give you a old system name. So if I give you something like iron 3 chloride, this is a compound. What would I do with this compound? I would need the symbols, just like we did on the test. Iron symbol would be what?
B.
Fe. Chloride would be
CL.
Cl. This Roman numeral tells me Fe is a what?
3.
It is a +3. Chlorine being last. You would pick what number off the sheet? The positive number or the negative number?
Negative.
A negative number. It happens to be a -1 on the sheet when you look it up. When I crisscross, do I keep the positive or the negative?
No.
No, you drop them both. You only crisscross the what? The number. So the 3 comes down, the 1 comes down, and you have FeCl3. Everybody remember doing that? Yes. If you can't do that successfully, you need to find me. You need to find a friend. You need to find somebody ASAP and get some kind of help. Okay? There are very few of you who are struggling with that, but there are a couple of us, about 3 or 4 of us in this class, who need some remediation on word equations or how to write compounds. Okay? But if you can't do that, you need some help. Find someone, me or a friend. Everybody good with that? This part is review. It's the second thing. This is the new piece. It's what we do with the elements that's new. Have I given everybody time to catch up? I see Queen and Alexa still writing.
Christmas, Halloween.
I love Halloween, oh my gosh.
Like 13.
I'll take 3 months.
All right, we caught up? All right, so number 2. If given an element, it does not get a subscript unless it is one of 7 elements.
Die.
Okay?
That's right.
If it's an element, it does not get a subscript unless it is one of 7 elements. All right, there are 7 diatomic elements, and you have to memorize these. The first time I give a quiz on this topic, which will probably be Tuesday.
Okay, what's Monday? Did you say that was Monday?
That's balancing. H, N, O, F, Cl, Br, and I. Now, a couple different ways you can learn them. There's a pattern on the periodic table. All right. Nobody's told me that. Several students have told me it looks like a gun with a bullet. Been told that many times. Y'all a little violent for my taste with that one, but have been told that many times. Several years ago, actually many years ago, a student gave us a mnemonic device to use.
Actually, if you like, just look a little bit, looks like a J.
Hector.
Now owns. The sentence is stupid, but it works. Clear, brown,
Iguanas. I swear, everybody uses iguanas in their little whatchamacallit.
Yep.
I don't know.
Now, I don't know how you have a clear brown iguana, but it fits with the letters on the periodic table, and even though it's a stupid sentence,
Why?
I guess it's any worse than kids have tried drinking chocolate milk.
Yeah.
So, I don't care how you know them, but you got to know those elements. You're going to need them for calculating in math. You're going to need them for writing in balanced equations. So, you have got to learn the 7 diatomic elements. The sooner you learn them, the more successful you will be in here. Because every time you forget them, you're going to write the equation wrong, you're going to balance it wrong, and you're going to calculate wrong.
He could say Hector now owns 5.
Do they have to get ordered?
You could. If you want to change the sentence to clever brown iguanas,
Clear
go
could
ahead.
be like-
I have used clear for too long to change my sentence. Y'all change it how you want it. It's your mnemonic device. Make it work for you.
Who made that?
Honestly, I don't remember. It's probably been 20 years that I've been using this stupid sentence, which is why I said I cannot change it at this point.
I wonder what he or she does it up to now.
I would like made them.
All right. Do we have what we need? All right. So we're going to say that
Acid plus iron 3 chloride. Chloride.
Iron 3 sulfate.
We balance it?
I would think so, right? Oh, it keeps going.
I can get on one line.
Yeah, 'cause you need a hydrogen because it's
All right.
acid. Ooh. And then right in this wall.
Now, this is typically a largely missed question on the test and the quiz. Tell me why.
Because
It's
they
an acid.
It's an acid. People don't remember their acids.
A
Very good.
H2SO4.
So, if you don't know your 4 acids, they have not gone anywhere. I will still put them on the test. I will still put them on the quiz. Nip it at your heels, taking my points back. Okay? Next 2 tests are entirely free response. And when you leave one of these questions blank on the test, -4. Thank you very much for my points back.
Is that sulfide or sulfate? Iron 3.
Sulfate. Iron 3 sulfate plus hydrogen. So, sulfuric acid would be H2SO4. Okay? So we don't have to crisscross anybody or do anything to that. You're supposed to know that one. Plus iron 3. Now, I picked that because people see that Roman numeral and they want to do something with that 3. Let's go back to the rule. An element does not get a subscript unless it's one of 7 elements. Is iron one of those 7?
No.
So do we put a subscript on it?
No.
Plus iron. Just like that.
So you just put the 3 digits.
You don't do, yes, I did. Very good.
Oh, wait. So then is it, sulfate again?
Now, we will need that 3 when we get to predicting next week, and you'll understand why I put that 3 there. But for today, it's just there to trick you. It works beautifully every day of the week, too. Yes, ma'am.
Do we do SO4 or sulfate?
Yes, we're getting there. Hang on one second. All right, so for iron 3 sulfate, here I need to know iron's a 3 because we need an oxidation number, right?
Right.
And if we look up iron, how many numbers are on the sheet?
2.
There are 2, so you need to know which one to use for iron, right?
Right.
So iron's a 3. Now, I could have just written iron back here, but is it correct to just say iron?
No.
No, it's correct to say iron 3, which is why I wrote it. Yes, it does throw people off when I say iron 3. But remember, if it's an element and it's not one of the 7, do I ever put a subscript on it? No. And after we do this a few times, it won't throw you off.
Just to clarify, like if sulfuric acid wasn't there and like chlorine was in front of the iron, you would put the
Mhm.
okay.
All right. So sulfate is SO4. It has an oxidation number of what? Okay. So this is a compound. So what do I have to do to those 2 numbers? So parentheses. Bring my 2 down
Wait, so why do we read that?
because it's a compound.
Oh.
If I cruise back, if it's a compound, look up my symbols, my oxidation numbers, and crisscross. Okay? That's why I did that on that one, because it's a compound. I didn't do it here because it's not a compound, it's an element. That one we just do the formula. All right, plus hydrogen. All right, hydrogen's an element. So if I cruise back to my rule, it's an element. I don't put a subscript on an element unless it's one of the 7. Is it one of the diatomics?
Yeah.
So the only subscript I will ever put on an element is what? A 2. I will never put an element subscript of a 3, a 5, a 7, or any of those other weird numbers students like to write down. It's a 1 or it's a 2. That's it. Okay? Now, what's the last thing I need to do?
Oh, that's it.
Now, let me be very clear. You never, ever give me an equation that is not what? Balanced. I don't care if the directions say to balance it or not. If you write an equation, you do what to it? You balance it. Okay? So, what would y'all like to start with?
Let's start with SO4.
Fabulous plan. I'm going to put SO4 over here in parentheses so it matches the other SO4. So, how many are here?
1,
How many are over there?
3,
So, what are we going to do over here?
3,
Sure. How many H's did you make?
6,
How do we get 6 over here?
3,
And how many irons are here?
2,
How do I get 2 here?
2.
Fabulous. Questions? All right, let's try another one.
Well, let me read this.
Huh? Okay.
On this on Tuesday.
Yes. Along with types of reactions.
So enter now,
Five.
so you're gonna go on.
Oh, I was at Clever.
Yeah.
You can use Clever if you like.
I just remember the boot and then plus one.
I remember the gun in the bullet.
I don't care how you do it.
Enter now, close, fire, clear, ground. That's awesome.
And
Sounds weird to say.
What is that, book keeping a rock or something?
bromine, bromide, oh. Like who came up with this law?
Huh?
How do you like just like do they just like throw random letters down or do they mean something?
They're based on Latin names.
Oh, okay.
Like iron is based on its Latin name, which is ferrum. So the first two letters in the word ferrum are Fe. So that's why iron's called, or got the symbol Fe.
It just comes up with random stuff.
It's so cold.
Oh, it didn't fit.
I got chills.
Like whatever, I direct music, I can catch them.
So if it's not a compound, we do not write the
In
subject.
middle school, we had, players, I don't know.
If it's not a compound, we don't write the subject.
I don't know. And 216 out. How hard can that get?
If it's not a compound, we don't.
All right, so what can you tell me about antimony 5-bromide to answer Ethan's question? Is it a compound or is it not a compound?
It is a compound.
It's a compound, so what do we have to do?
So
Yeah,
Crisscross.
You gotta look up the symbols and crisscross, okay, because it is a compound. So, what do we know about antimony's oxidation number? It's a 5. Bromide's oxidation number. It's a 1. It's a -1. So, we're going to have a 5 where in the formula?
Underneath bromine.
Underneath bromine and a 1 on the antimony. Plus, and I'm going to leave it there for a minute, chlorine is a what?
CO. Oh, man.
Is it a compound or an element is what I'm asking you.
Oh,
It's an element. So, does it get a subscript?
Yeah.
Only if it's one of the 7. Because some people said no, some people said yes.
Yeah.
Is it one of the 7?
Yes.
Yes. So it gets a what subscript? A 2. All right.
Oh, because
Because it's one of the 7 diatomics. If it hadn't been one of the 7, you'd have been right when you guys said no. All right. So antimony 5-chloride. Is it a compound or is it an element? It's a compound. So we got to look up the elements and crisscross. So SB, Cl. What's SB? It's a 5. What's chlorine?
1.
It's a 1. So we crisscross. 5 comes down. 1 comes down. Plus
BR2.
Br. All right. And I hear that Emma's already put a 2 on it. So is it one of the 7?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So it gets a subscript of 2.
So wait,
Clear brown.
is this a compound?
Clear brown piece one.
If it's a compound, what? If it's a compound, we don't put a 2 on it.
Okay.
Okay? We don't slap a 2 on chlorine because it's in a compound. We only put a 2 on it if it's one of the 7 and it's an element by itself. All right, so is it balanced?
No.
So that means we got to balance it.
Of course not.
So, who do you want to balance first?
Bromine.
Okay, how many bromines are here?
5. Oh, 2.
How many are here?
5.
So we can't get 2, we can't get 5, so what are we going to put right here?
2.
That'll make 10. How are we going to get 10 over here?
5.
Most fabulous. How many SBs are here?
2.
How do we get 2 here?
2.
Excellent. How many chlorines?
10.
How do we get 10 here?
5.
Fabulous. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Think you could try some?
Yeah.
Good. We're going to try them for homework.
I want to say.
Oh.
Yeah, I know you got a lab tomorrow. I'm only giving you 4 for homework and you don't have to have them done until Monday. Now, there's one other thing I want to do today that's easy.
Knock that out.
I'm looking for it.
chemical reactions.
Hey, they can do it.
That's not it.
That's why.
I'll fight.
I'm looking for it.
I have to like make a line and like this equals.
That's it.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah, it's complicated. Yeah, no, everything goes.
God.
I mean, once you
I have a test.
Yeah, I have.
in math, and literally I don't know. I'm like,
All right.
that's really funny.
We're going to talk about the 5 types of reactions.
Yeah, they
This is one of the things that's pretty easy in this unit, but it's pretty important in what we're going to do next week. Remember when I showed you yesterday half a reaction and I told you we were going to learn to predict the other side? This is what's going to lead us to that next week. Okay? Now, there are 5 types of reactions we're going to learn. First of all, let me preface this by saying they are not the only 5 types of reactions. They're a nice jumping off point for a first-year class. So after we do this semester, do not think that these are the only 5 types of reactions and I have steered you wrong and that I only taught you the only 5 types, okay? Because there are others. I'm only teaching 5 right now, okay? Now, single displacement, or you can call it replacement, you will find that if one person teaches you one way, you tend to stick with it and calling it that way. My high school chemistry teacher called it displacement. I tend to still call it displacement. Some teachers teach it as replacement. It means the exact same thing. You can call it single displacement or single replacement. Now, if you would like to abbreviate, because single displacement is a long title, you can. We typically abbreviate it SD if you would like to use that abbreviation. It is an element plus a compound, and you get an element plus a compound. Now, why then do we call it displacement or replacement? It's called that because 2 elements switch places. Sort of like boy and girl have been dating for a year, and someone decides, nope, I want to date them, and they switch partners. Okay? A little on the tacky side, happens all the time. So, if we look at this reaction down here, can anybody tell me which 2 elements changed places?
Magnesium
and whatever it is.
Magnesium and sodium switch places. Okay, it's okay if you don't see it. I'm going to show you how it works next week. Okay, Mg and Na are switching places. Na is by itself, Mg is with a Br, and they are just literally switching places so that Na is now with a Br and Mg is by itself. Okay? It's okay if you don't see it though. But that is one of the 5 that we're going to look at. Now, how can you tell that it's single displacement when we're trying to sort through these down the road? When you look at these, can we agree that Na is an element?
Yes.
All right, you can tell because it has 1 capital, right?
Right.
This is a compound because it has 2 capitals. This is a compound, and that's an element. You can also tell that it has 2 plus signs. 2 of our 5 reactions are not going to have 2 plus signs. Everybody okay with that? Emma.
So on the problem that we did before this with the 2SBBr5 RCl yields 2SBCl plus 5 Br, would that be single displacement?
It would. Exactly. It's not. This is one of the easiest things we do with the types of reactions. Everybody caught up? All right. The one that's just like it is double displacement. Or we can call it, again, replacement. We abbreviate it DD. for those of you who want to abbreviate. This one is a compound plus a compound, and you get two compounds. The thing that makes this one different is you don't have any single elements. Everything is a compound. Now, because this is displacement again, what has to happen?
Change
To what?
two elements switch places.
Exactly. Because it's displacement, two elements have to change places. Anything that's a displacement reaction means that two elements have to change places. So, I kept the reaction very similar. Can you tell me who switched here? The who? Okay. Chlorine and bromine switched, or magnesium switched with who? Sodium. You can look at it either way. You can say that Na switched, whoops, other side, stupid. Chlorine switched with Br, or you can say Na switched with Mg. And you can look at it either way. And when we talk about this next week, I will explain why. Some of you will like to switch the negative oxidation numbers. Some of you will prefer to switch the positive oxidation numbers. It's not going to make any difference which one you pick. I will tell you to pick one and stick with it. Some of you will naturally see the negatives. Some of you will naturally see the positives. Sort of like those pictures where they show two different things depending on whether you see the dark or the light. I struggle with those myself.
Wait, so Na switches with Br.
Na switches with Mg. The positive switches with the positive. Or the negative switches with the other negative.
How does
The Na switches with the Mg. So Na is with the chlorine, and then the Na is with the Br. So those two switch. It'll make more sense when we actually do it next week, because you're actually not going to get this side of the reaction, and you're going to have to make the switch yourself. Okay? You're going to have to do them from scratch after you figure out what type it is yourself. All right, synthesis. Synthesis means to form something, right?
Yeah.
So y'all are going to form one compound. Okay? The easiest way to recognize synthesis is that there is no plus sign on the right side of the arrow. Okay? There will not be a plus sign on the right side of the arrow because you only made one compound. So for example, see how I said any combination of elements and compounds? You got a plus sign over here? Is there a plus sign over here where I put my one compound? No, because there's no anything added to it. It's just one compound. There's no this plus that. It's just one thing. So here are some other real examples. This is one compound. This is one compound. It's not plus something else. It's not plus something else. But synthesis only forms one compound. So there's never anything else on the right-hand side. That's all you have is that one singular compound. All right, everybody got it? Okay.
Are these balanced?
No, I didn't worry about balancing them for the examples. That way the numbers weren't cluttering up the examples. You could just focus on the compounds. You will, but for right now, in those, I wasn't worried about it. I just want you to see the elements and where their placement is. All right, so decomposition is the opposite or the inverse. So if synthesis forms something, what would decomposition be?
Destroys it.
Okay, it destroys it or it
Take it apart.
breaks it apart. All right, so decomposition is one compound breaking down. Okay, one compound breaks down. So here, there's no plus sign on the left side of the arrow. Okay, it's the exact opposite. So if you look, then this is supposed to be ELE, by the way, not ELS. All right, so you have one compound here on the left, and you get any combination of elements or compounds. But you start with one compound, and it breaks apart. And you probably talked more about this maybe in biology or earth science class, particularly if you did anything with compost piles or anything. Nope. Okay, forget that then. Would have thought maybe in earth science. All right, so if you look at the two examples I wrote, look at your left. Do I have anything involving a plus sign over here on the left side?
Nope.
No plus signs. That's decomposition. Okay, so there's no plus signs over there on the left. It is. That's why I'm pushing to get this in.
Oh, man.
I told you y'all write slower than fourth period.
I feel like I write fast, but then I really don't.
I said
I
it.
can't help it.
I do write fast, I'm just not in it my first period.
It's okay. I just write slower. They're just faster at writing. I don't know why. They just write faster.
I didn't think because they paraphrased a lot.
It's not even because they talk less. They just write faster. When we take notes, they're just faster.
Maybe it's just when you ask somebody else done, they're just too scared to say no. And then
No, they're just done writing faster.
They all just.
All right, are we caught up?
Yes.
Tell me when you got it, Ashai.
I'm never fast at writing. I try to change my handwriting and everything. It's
My
not work.
left hand, I don't.
Y'all, my notes are.
Stop packing up. We got one more.
I know, I'm just trying to put my notes in my notes section.
You have a notes section?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Priscilla, you got it? All right, last one. This is the one that will drive some of us nuts balancing. All right, combustion. Combustion is a hydrocarbon plus oxygen, and you get carbon dioxide plus water. This is my pet peeve. This is the one that drives me insane when y'all get it wrong. Everything else we've done up to this point, I said element, compound, look for no plus signs. Look for plus signs here. This is the only one I can tell you exactly what elements, exactly what compounds are going to be where. And people still get this one wrong. Okay? A hydrocarbon has to be what two elements?
Hydrogen and carbon.
Hydrogen and carbon. It has to add what to it?
Water. Oh, oxygen.
Oxygen.
Oh, my God.
And you have to get carbon dioxide plus water. No extras. It has to be that. Here are examples. Do you see some patterns here?
Yeah, it all looks the same.
They all look the same. Okay? I could write this until the end of the day. I'd get tired. But I could write literally until the end of the day. And you don't have to write all these down. I'm only doing this to illustrate a point. Okay? That the format of the equation does not what?
Change.
It doesn't change.
Show and Como.
Show a code.
Yeah.
So,
Show
my point is, what's the only thing that's changing when you look at this?
The subscript.
The subscripts on the C and the H. Everything else is staying the same on the CO2 and the water. Okay? Now, What do you have to have done for me when you get here tomorrow?
The lab report.
The procedure and the data table part. That's it. You don't have to have a full lab report. For homework, that you have to have for Monday to be ready to go with this again along with your lab report. Yeah, I know. I've lost my mind. I sound like an AP teacher when I'm not. Now, on your homework from last night,
The last four.
the last four are word equations. I want you to do those four. The paper I handed you today, you know the ones we just balanced?
Yeah.
1 through 13, I want you to tell me the types on those 1 through 13. You already balanced them. I want you to tell me the types.
Oh, so like.
Okay, are they single? Are they double? Are they combustion? Is there a synthesis? They probably don't have all 5 because I didn't pay any attention to that, okay?
Gotta be shown.
I'm gonna borrow that because you've got it out here. All right, the one you just did today. Okay, this one. Tell me the types. The single, double, you can use your abbreviations. SD, DD, SD, and C.
We
Okay,
all do Monday, right?
let's do Monday.
All of them?
Huh?
All of them? What's the Monday?
Oh, no worries.
Y'all really need to find the website, because I put the homework up there every day. Every day, I put the homework on the website.
Most people say that, but they don't.
Right, they never put it
It's
up.
there every day.
I believe it's
put
Walt.
it up
She's-
there.
Yeah, I believe it.
If you don't think so, go check out the website today on your homework. And you'll see the entire month. It even has a link to the YouTube channel.
Oh, promote your YouTube channel?
It's there too. Sometimes I even have the worksheet for homework attached.
Oh, it's on my side.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh.
Bye, guys.